It was some arbitrary time at night, maybe 1 in the morning. I was unsure as I'd been mindlessly laying as if a zombie upon my couch, staring up at some inornate speck along the ceiling for an unknowable amount of time. Feeling like I'd coalesced into the leather, my entire body felt leaden and adhesive. That nauseating sensation that you feel whenever you're accidentally falling asleep while still in your day clothes. Which I appeared to have done. Even though I'd been certain I was awake for the past few hours, the inherent need for sleep appeared to have struck me a few times and had me doze. I wasn't even sure what I was doing beforehand. I was guessing that I'd been watching whatever channel was presented when I originally turned on my TV. Then, from there I slowly passed out to it. Now, it was drowned out to a low droning buzz, and colors dancing incessantly in front of my eyes. My eyes themselves were desiccated and irritated from being open for a prolonged period of time, and when I attempted to close them, it was painful. Oh man, I muttered, groaning as if I lifted myself off the piece of furniture. I guess I might as well go to sleep. Trudging along to my bedroom, I paused as I discerned a faint glow emanating from my den. It was pulsing, in a vivid cobalt that bore the similarity to a screen. Partnering it, a low ping was sounding from it every dozen or so seconds. Entering, I realized it was my phone. Someone was texting me. Who is trying to get a hold of me at this hour? I grumbled. Oh, better not be my boss. The white flashes that appeared upon the display had the name Mikhailov. Being one of my friends from middle school, he was someone who coincidentally had been garnering the need to attend the college I was currently going towards. Even though I was majoring in chemical engineering and he was majoring in psychology, we still managed to catch the same classes, so we met up every single day. However, now it was currently the Christmas holiday, so we had returned home from our dorm. I'd been living alone from a young age as my parents traveled constantly, so they only supplied me with funds and as much care as they could, but I never lived with them, much less even see them, so when I returned to my childhood home, it was completely void of anybody barring me. Disregarding that, what did he want at the dead of night? My expression contorted into guilt-ridden irritation as he was questioning when we were going to go into the city. Our homes were in the suburbs of New York, so we were just on the edge. I'd forgotten. I was supposed to accompany him and his girlfriend for drinks. That's why I was watching TV earlier, to pass the time. But now I didn't possess the faculty to go out. But rather than returning a measly text, I called him.
Man!
His voice blared, forcing me to pull the phone away.
Where are you? We've been waiting for like an hour over here.
Sorry. I weakly apologized. I passed out. I'm way too tired to go with you guys. I'm way too tired to go with you guys. I'm sorry.
Come on, man. You can just, wash up and get over here.
Yay, Dawn.
Oh, wait, here. Han's gotta tell you something.
Han was his girlfriend, an incredibly towering Norwegian individual with a surprisingly soft voice. Along the call, a distant tumble was audibly heard as he passed the phone along.
Hey, Milos.
She mumbled.
How are you?
Good, I answered uncertainly. What did you mean to tell me?
It was more Mikhailov's suggestion, but I have a friend that we thought would be good to set you up with. So that's why we invited you here. So, Mikhailov's kind of counting on this working.
Lon chuckled sheepishly. I thought it to be an odd desire. Oh, well, I appreciate the offer, but I don't think I can make it there tonight. I'm sorry to disappoint you and him, and obviously whoever you were fixing me with.
It's alright.
She promised.
I'm sure that they'll understand, although from what I heard, they were looking forward to this.
I was a bit guilt-ridden by that statement, but I was more thinking whoever it was wouldn't be comfortable with seeing a person with bedhead. Uh-huh, I answered. Well, give them my apologies. A knock severed our conversation prematurely against my back door. That wasn't where people arrived to meet the person of the house. Hold on a second, I asked.
No problem.
Lon replied. Considering the time of day, I automatically carried distrust and a slight sprinkle of concern at the individual that placed themselves in my backyard. How did they manage to accomplish such a task? My fence was nearly 9 feet tall and carried no gate into a side yard. I had a butcher knife in my silverware drawer, and snatching it out, I waringly approached the curtained door. Thrusting the blinds to the right, I peeked outside. Nobody. I opened the door. Hello? I called. Nothing a second time. Maybe my brain was playing tricks on me. Shutting it, I relatched the lock of the door to the wall, only to be stricken with trepidation. Since I'd shifted the position of the blinds, it granted the moon the pleasure of bestowing the inside of my house with its light. However, along with it came a shadow, one of a person. I pivoted back around in dread, only to be greeted by my backyard. Not a soul was positioned out there, nor an animal of any sort. Just empty. Putting the phone back up to my ear, I rejoined the conversation. Alright, sorry. Was there anything else that you needed to say? Your house is nice. Someone's voice cut through the hollow air. What the fuck? I doubled over, losing my phone and accidentally launching it somewhere in the living room. Her voice slowly was lost at the distance, but I still heard on.
You alright?
I couldn't answer her. A more distressing issue was arising. Someone had entered into my home without my knowledge. Who the hell is in here? I shouted. The person abstained from responding. I'm not hallucinating, I heard you. You're right, you did. They answered playfully, their voice now arising from behind me. You aren't hallucinating. Or maybe you are? I suddenly felt a profound and irate pain manifest within my head. It was originating not from my skull, but rather a more direct place, as if a migraine had instantaneously sunk into my brain. Maybe I was hallucinating. No, what the hell? I had affirmed myself that I wasn't, as I clearly discerned this voice and what I guessed was their knock. Why did my mind change? I whirled around to where that voice had appeared. No person was standing there, but clearly through the very periphery of my sight, I noticed an ashy gray aura dash out of my vision. It was hazy, yet had a defined outline at the border, seemingly an arm. "That's one," I heard them whisper to themselves. "Anyways, this house is pretty big. Do you not have anyone else to live here with you?" Although their question was a bit insensitive and got to me slightly, my brain still held the priority of seeking them out as they just intruded into my home. I needed to find them. I wasn't exactly of muscular stature, so I was unsure if I was able to even take them on. But nonetheless, I couldn't accept my house being robbed, or yet worse, me murdered. I didn't know the identity of this person. However, an idea struck me. If their intention truly was to reap some sort of benefit by attacking me, it'd be better to alert Mikhailov and On in case of anything drastic. I was unable to in the current moment, though, as it might coerce the person into launching at me. "You sure about that?" They questioned, catching me off guard. I cursed under my breath, wondering if I had accidentally announced it. "No." "No, you didn't. I won't trick you again. However, thanks for letting me know that." This time, the voice was above, having me gyrate my head with speed to catch them before they managed to escape my gaze. No such luck. However, the ear-piercing shatter of glass and fragile electronics brought my attention back to my phone. Sprawled amongst the carpet were viridescent fragments of the inner workings of my phone. The motherboard had been completely torn out, screen warped into itself, as if someone had endeavored to force it into a makeshift ball. My case, which I had purchased specifically for its sturdiness, was now lifelessly slumped in an impossible form over the armrest of my couch. But the thing was, my foot was pressed against it, right in the middle of the pretense phone. I hadn't even recognized that I moved towards it, even though it had escaped my grip over less than a minute ago. I felt the searing pain of the debris piercing my foot suddenly, drastically increased by the pressure I had it against the ground. Curling over in pain, it was interrupted by two separate instances of muscle ache from my shoulders. Dull yet powerful, it was crippling, as it nearly forced me to surrender the means to move. It took all of my power not to give in and keel over, something much easier said than done. "That's 3, they said ominously. "However, now that you're more, debilitated, I'd like to speak with you." I was heavily against this idea, given you think that I did this and that I'm an intruder. They adjourned my thoughts. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Stop going over it in your head. It's annoying. Let me speak." They began, although their tone was slightly irate. I still had little idea where they were. "You're friends with those two on the phone, correct?" If you know my answer, why should I say it?" I sputtered, in a daze and slightly petrified. "Because I want to hear you speak," they demanded. "Yes, then." I gave in. "Great." Their voice suddenly became more joyous. I know, I came unannounced, and you don't know me, but I want to learn more about you. So, let's start with this. What do your friends look like?" Why do you want to know that?" I stammered. "Answer the question." Their voice was harsh now, and I'd shifted to my left. Even though I missed a full glimpse, I could make out lanky yet flowing hair dripping over their shoulders and rustling with their movements before dissipating. It appeared to be a girl. Mikhailov is... My head pounded as if a jackhammer was pressing against it, the pain of my shoulders now increasing in intensity. "Are you not going to answer me?" she shot coldly. It's kind of rude to do that to a person. Although that statement was ironic, I didn't possess the ability to sugarcoat it, as every moment I hesitated, the discomfort only grew. I frantically searched for the image of him I retained in my head, only to feel as if it had been leached out somehow, leaving me with foggy remains of his appearance. I couldn't remember. He was my childhood friend, and I now lacked how to recall what he looked like. Even though this was my first opinion on the matter, it suddenly shifted, as I felt as if I myself had forgotten. I know I hadn't, but I couldn't help it. It was as if a parasite had burrowed into me and forced me to switch everything I knew. The girl began maniacally chuckling. If you don't answer, then I'll make it 5. 5 what? I begged frantically. I can't remember. You can't remember what your friend looked like? She feigned surprise. Well, that sure is a bit ill-mannered, huh? Guess I have to. My spine suddenly churned as I felt it attempt to rip out of my back, pressing against my other organs and causing me to upchuck blood. Since you seem to have trouble remembering things, I'll give you an easier question. Do you know what 4 plus 4 is? This girl, mocking me for unconsciously losing things I wasn't attempting to. And she was still hiding. It somehow had to be her causing this. Wow, not as dumb as I thought, huh? She faked a congratulatory attitude. It's good to know. Since you seem to have, well, something in there, why don't I introduce myself? Maybe you'll know that. Remember that friend that An usually hangs out with? That black-haired girl with bleached blonde hair? Seemingly the only thing I possessed the capability to recollect, the picture of her dawned onto me. She was a bright yet kind girl, someone popular on campus as she assisted numerous people with their finances and made the place all around enjoyable. This was her? This sooty-colored intruder? Ooh, right again. Or maybe you're wrong. Maybe I just know her and I'm faking you out. What could it be, Milos? Do you believe in your thoughts? Or did you just forget again and are making something up to satisfy yourself? Shut up. You're the one doing this. I managed to command, although the lack of confidence in my voice was clearly apparent. Are you sure, Milos? Am I that girl you're thinking about? Or am I different? I can't tell because you're just moving away from where I can see you. Why are you torturing me with this crap? What do you want? Is it not obvious? They chortled. How could someone enjoy a date if they leave just right after? Why don't you take a look at your front door? Creaking a horrid whistle, my front door steadily unbolted, greeting me with a chilling sight. Seemingly stitched back together with uneven chunks filling in gaps, she stood upright, her eyes devoid of any life, her body hollow. This was the girl you were thinking of, right? Or was I telling the truth about myself? Maybe that isn't her and just a decoy. But shouldn't someone you find attraction towards be easily readable? The corpse's mouth shifted eerily as if a mannequin. Yes, Milos, aren't I what you were thinking? Somehow, within the completely desolate figure, another person manifested themselves in it. Rather than her colored hair, this person had one of a Stygian black hue. The body of An's friend unstuck its ghoulish eyes, peering at me with intensity. I felt my blood run cold as she presented a toothy smile, her teeth somehow perfectly white even though she'd passed. This wasn't the girl I was thinking of. At least, not anymore. Stop! The girl demanded savagely, puppeteering the carcass's leg to impact the ground, launching splinters of my flooring in each direction. You keep repeating what's already obvious. You were just refusing to answer any of my questions. Are you too idiotic to even remember what I'm saying? Just forgetting it as soon as it enters one ear? You are the one doing this. Why are you getting irritated over me not being able to do something because of you? I rebuked. She began laughing before it slowly mutated into a deranged hiss. Oh, because of me? Why do you keep doubting yourself then, Milos? Is that really my doing? If it truly is, and I just made you forget their appearances alone, then list me off information about them. Surely you didn't lose everything by my hands. What's on in Michaela's birthday? When did they start dating? What's their secret that they've only told you? Somehow that knowledge shot to the front of my head and I was compelled to answer. March 26, 2001, September 2nd, 2002? They started dating 2 years ago on the 6th of May. Their secret is that they both have an irrational fear of going upside down. Perfect, she commended. Are you sure that's me doing all what you said? Or are you? Her sentence halted. Within the decayed flesh of Yvonne's friend laid minuscule and barely visible strings, all correlating to where I was feeling the flashes of pain. They reflected marginally against the incoming moonlight, but I still managed to get a glimpse of them. However, upon taking notice, the corpse went limp and collapsed back upon the ground. Now standing in front of me was the girl who'd constantly strayed from my sight. Her appearance was no different than the remains of the student, except for the fact that instead of any color presenting itself upon her body, it was just a sooty gray. Additionally, what seemed to be painted in black murky lines drooped down from the edges of her lips, giving her the appearance of a nutcracker, or more accurately, a marionette. Upon her gaunt fingers were hefty layers of thin, spider-like strings connecting to On's friend, and as I paid closer attention, myself. Replacing her eyes were two warning symbols, the triangle somehow made out to look as if its paint had been scratched. However much looking like a sign, the exclamation point resting in the middle darted unstably, clearly her pupil. Barring the fact that her sockets were hollow, they acted as if a normal eye. They rested upon me, a devilish smile caressing her face. Let's go back a quick second, she started. You know how you asked me why I am torturing you? Because you aren't a true person. You may think that it was me, but when under panic, you forgot your friends and showed me how honest you really were. As for not being able to see me, I'll also explain that to you. I see the truth in people. What they really know, what they're hiding, everything. The more they realize that they're dishonest, the greater ability they have to see me, as I'm always out of sight for people who lie. When you saw the strings, that meant you finally came to terms that you're dishonest. But that also means the girl you were going to see was also corrupt. And that pain you felt, well, if you realize where her strings were, then I guess you don't need an explanation. It's hopeless, but I desire people to be honest. I hope you find better luck and a more honest personality in the next life, my puppet. goobers. This Creepypasta, in a sense, is my first real attempt at making a short story. I love to build like my world once I've created it, so like letting it end so quickly is usually tough for me. And like originally this story was meant to be around 10 minutes or so, but it ended up ballooning out to 2.5 times that amount. And it might have been a bit difficult to follow. I hope it wasn't. But yeah, any criticisms welcome. I'd love to know how to improve my writing. Hopefully it's not too negative, but yeah. And I don't know if anybody cares, but I'm working on making music and some art, so that might come out.